You are. Here's the shocking truth that almost nobody will tell you. 95.7% of men chase those who radiate clarity, purpose, and strength. Not charm, not appearance. You are. Not fleeting attention, but genuine strength. You see, the world is full of distractions, empty validation, and meaningless games. If you want to command attention, you are. If you want to be pursued with seriousness, you must first embody something non-negotiable: value, real value. Not the kind that comes from flattery or approval, you are, but the kind that emerges from discipline, action, and unwavering standards. You must understand that desire follows competence. You are. Men chase not because someone begs for it or manipulates it, but because they see something in you that they themselves cannot replicate effortlessly. You are. They sense purpose, sense consistency, and they sense a standard of life that challenges them. Weakness is invisible to them. It repels silently. You are. Strength calls silently. And strength is not loud. It is disciplined, precise, and persistent. You are. The man who is chasing is often subconsciously measuring your life against his own, testing if he can keep up or if he should be inspired or left behind. You are. This is why self-mastery is not optional. You cannot demand attention. You cannot manufacture respect through shallow tactics or temporary allure. You are. Your life must be structured, deliberate, and full of meaning. You must cultivate your ambitions, sharpen your skills, and operate with integrity in all things. You are. The more you embody competence, the less you need to chase approval, and paradoxically, the more you become pursued. There is a simple formula: grow, elevate, you are, and maintain high standards, and the world will respond. Boundaries are not a punishment, they are a declaration of value. If you tolerate mediocrity, you are. You signal that it is acceptable in your life. If you avoid difficult conversations, if you settle for less, you train people to chase you with less intensity, you are. If at all, the moment you define what you will not accept, you force the world to engage with you on your terms. This is not arrogance, this is clarity. You are. It is magnetism. People are drawn to certainty. They chase those who are immovable in their principles because that stability is rare and stability is attractive. You are. Action is your ultimate language. Words are cheap, intentions are meaningless unless executed. Men are not chasing fantasies, they are chasing a reality that is alive. You are potent and uncompromising. When you act decisively, when you elevate yourself daily, when you confront challenges instead of hiding from them, you are. You do not need to persuade anyone. They are drawn to the energy of someone who is building, who is conquering. You are. Who is refusing to accept anything less than extraordinary. Do not confuse business with value. True attraction is not a game of appearances. You are. It is a reflection of the life you have created and continue to create. If you want to be chased, focus not on the pursuit, but on your development. Cultivate knowledge. You are. Discipline, resilience, and purpose. Let your life be an example that inspires pursuit, not a plea for attention. You are. The men who are worth your time will notice the difference immediately. Those who are not will drift away, and that is the clarity you must embrace. You are. Not everyone is meant to follow you, and not everyone should. Remember this: your life is the signal, your standards are the beacon, and your action is the proof. You are. If you wake up each day seeking to improve, to challenge yourself, to embody strength, you automatically become someone worth chasing. And here is the paradox: you are. The harder you work on your own life, the less you worry about pursuit, the more the right kind of pursuit finds you. Weakness, indecision, and inconsistency repel. You are. Strength, clarity, and purposes attract. This is not manipulation. This is reality. So if you are serious about being pursued, start by being serious about yourself. Build, endure, confront, and rise. Set boundaries, maintain your standards, and act relentlessly. The 95.7% of men chasing is not a coincidence. You are. It is a reflection of a deeper truth. Humans instinctively pursue what they cannot fully achieve, what challenges them, and what represents order, competence. You are, and strength. Be that challenge, be that force, be that unwavering standard. No excuses, no distractions, no empty words, only action, only strength. You are. Only relentless pursuit of your own mastery. When you live this way, you do not chase the world. You are. It chases you. Clarity of value is the single most magnetic force you can possess, and without it, everything else collapses. You are. When you are unclear about your own worth, the world mirrors that uncertainty back at you. People do not chase indecision. They do not pursue ambiguity. You are. They are drawn to clarity because clarity signals competence, strength, and purpose. To have clarity of value is not about boasting, pretending, or performing. You are. It is about knowing deep in your bones what you stand for, what you will accept, and what you refuse to tolerate. You are. It is about being so certain of your own principles that your actions, decisions, and presence communicate value without the need for explanation. You are. When you lack this clarity, you are invisible in the crowd. You are like water poured into sand, shapeless, uncontained, easily ignored. But when you define your worth, you are. You shape the world around you, and suddenly people pay attention. They are drawn to the solid force you have become. Clarity of value is rooted in self-awareness. You are. You must understand not only your strengths, but also your limits, your priorities, and your non-negotiables. Life will constantly test you with distractions. You are. Temptation and noise. If you do not have a clear understanding of your own value, you will drift. You will respond to every whim, follow every opinion. You are, and allow your decisions to be dictated by others. The people who chase, who respect, who admire, do not pursue those who drift. They pursue those who stand firm. You are. This is not about arrogance, it is about certainty. It is about demonstrating that your life is organized, purposeful. You are, and guided by a vision that others can perceive even if they cannot articulate it. Clarity of value is not learned in a day. It is forged through introspection. You are. Deliberate action and relentless honesty with yourself. It also demands courage. You must be willing to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. You are. You must accept the areas where you fall short, the weaknesses you cannot deny, and the patterns that sabotage your progress. Without this brutal honesty, you are. Clarity is an illusion, a mask that eventually crumbles. True clarity of value comes from integrating these flaws into your identity, mastering them. You are, and transforming them into stepping stones rather than excuses. The people who recognize value see beyond the superficial. You are. They sense the strength that emerges from this confrontation with reality, and they are drawn to it instinctively. You are. Boundaries are the outward expression of clarity of value. When you set limits, when you define what is acceptable and what is not, you are sending a message. You are. This is who I am, and this is how I operate. Those who respect you will align with your standards. Those who cannot will fall away. This is the paradox of value. You are. You do not chase people, you simply embody it. The stronger your clarity, the more effortless your influence becomes. People are not inspired by uncertainty. You are. They are inspired by someone who is anchored, who knows where they stand, and who moves through the world with purpose and confidence. You are. Action is inseparable from clarity of value. Knowing your worth without demonstrating it is meaningless. Your choices, habits, you are, and commitments must reflect the principles you claim to hold. Every interaction becomes a signal of who you are and what you will tolerate. Every decision, even the small ones, compounds into a reputation of competence and self-respect. Clarity without action is vanity. Clarity with action is magnetic. You are. People chase not words, not promises, but the reality you create through disciplined, consistent action. You are. Clarity of value also protects you from manipulation and distraction. When you know your worth, you cannot be easily swayed by empty flattery, false promises. You are. Or temporary allure. You see through attempts to bend your priorities, and you remain committed to your path. The world will always try to dilute your standards. You are. But when you operate from clarity, you repel what is weak or toxic and attract what is strong, ambitious, and aligned with your principles. In essence, you are. Clarity of value becomes your filter, your shield, and your beacon all at once. The people who chase and respect you instinctively recognize this clarity. You are. It signals that you are not a passive participant in life, but an active force shaping your reality. It communicates that your attention is earned, not given. You are. That your standards are high, and that your life is not negotiable. This is not arrogance. You are. It is the natural outcome of mastery over yourself and the deliberate cultivation of your principles. Ultimately, clarity of value is not a strategy. You are. It is a way of being. It is the foundation upon which all influence, attraction, and respect are built. Without it, everything else, skills, charm, appearance, you are. Even intelligence loses potency. With it, even the smallest actions resonate with authority and purpose. It is both a mirror and a magnet. You are. It reflects who you truly are, and it draws towards you those who recognize and aspire to that force. If you want to be pursued, respected, and admired, it begins here. You are. Not with manipulation, not with words, not with effort to be seen. It begins with uncompromising clarity about who you are, what you value, and how you live your life. You are. Strength, influence, and attraction flow naturally from this foundation. Everything else is secondary. Stand firm. Know your worth. Live it daily. You are. The world will notice, and it will follow. Discipline over desire is the secret force that separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely dream. You are. Desire is seductive. It whispers constantly, promising instant gratification, easy pleasure, and shortcuts to success. It is tempting to follow because it is immediate. You are effortless and emotionally satisfying. But desire is fleeting, shallow, and ultimately destructive when it dictates your life. Real power, real influence, you are, and true attraction do not arise from following impulses. They arise from the mastery of self. Discipline over desire is not about suppressing joy or denying life. You are. It is about choosing what matters most over what feels convenient. Every decision you make in favor of your long-term growth, you are. Every time you resist temptation in favor of meaningful action, you are strengthening the magnetic core of your existence. Those who are chased, admired, you are, and respected are rarely the ones who act on every fleeting desire. They are the ones who have trained themselves to see beyond immediate gratification. You are, to operate with a vision that is greater than momentary comfort. Desire is easy, discipline is hard, and hard is what makes you rare, valuable, and powerful. You are. If you chase desire, you are chasing illusions. If you embrace discipline, you are building reality. Men chase women not because they are easily available. You are. They chase those who are difficult to obtain in the most meaningful sense, who do not bend to whim or surrender to every temptation. You are. Who demonstrate control over themselves and their world. Discipline is the signal that you are not reactive. You are deliberate, purposeful, and self-governing. You are. Discipline over desire requires clarity of purpose. Without a target, every act of restraint feels meaningless. Desire will always whisper, always lure, always tempt. You are. But when you have a clear vision of what you are building, each act of discipline becomes a victory, a brick in the foundation of your life. You are. You learn to defer gratification not out of suffering, but out of strategic necessity. You measure every action against your long-term goals, asking, you are. Does this serve the life I am creating, or does it merely satisfy a fleeting urge? The stronger your answer, the more magnetic your presence becomes. You are. People sense the self-control of someone who knows what they are building, and they are drawn to it because it promises stability, strength, and purpose. You are. The path of discipline is lonely. Desire calls to everyone, constantly reminding them of ease, comfort, and indulgence. Few have the courage to reject it consistently. You are. But it is precisely this rejection that generates power. When you resist the impulses that weaken your trajectory, you are. You cultivate an internal authority that cannot be imitated or undermined. You no longer need external validation because your standards are non-negotiable. You are. The world notices this strength instinctively. People are attracted not to those who indulge freely, but to those who act with deliberate restraint. You are. Who weigh consequences and who operate from a foundation of self-control. Discipline over desire also builds resilience. Life is full of uncertainty, hardship, you are, and unexpected trials. Desire seeks escape from difficulty, but discipline embraces challenge. You are. The person who has mastered self-restraint is the person who can endure hardship without crumbling, who can face obstacles without panic. You are. Who can maintain direction when chaos surrounds them. Desire is weak, discipline is enduring. The men who chase, the people who admire, you are drawn to those who demonstrate the ability to endure, who can delay satisfaction in favor of long-term victory. This endurance signals reliability, strength, you are, and an unshakable foundation. Every small act of discipline compounds. Waking early, choosing to act instead of procrastinate, saying no when everyone else says yes, you are. Controlling emotions when temptation arises. These actions accumulate into a presence that is formidable, magnetic, and undeniable. Desire is easy to chase, you are. Discipline is earned. And the more disciplined you become, the more you are pursued, the more you are respected, you are. The more your life communicates value without a single word. Discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. You are. Following desire enslaves you to fleeting pleasure and constant external distraction. Choosing discipline frees you from this chaos, anchors you to purpose, you are, and grants you the freedom to dictate your own life. The world instinctively chases those who are self-governing because they represent stability, competence, you are, and higher order thinking. Desire tempts and entices, but discipline commands. The distinction is subtle, but monumental. One produces chaos, the other produces power, you are. Finally, discipline over desire is contagious. When you operate with self-mastery, you influence everyone around you. People do not merely notice discipline, you are. They are inspired by it. They are drawn to it instinctively because it represents something they desire but cannot yet achieve. Desire without discipline is empty, You are. Discipline without desire is magnetic. The people who recognize this force are drawn to it naturally. They chase not because they are shallow, you are, but because they sense the energy of someone who controls their own life, someone who refuses to be ruled by fleeting impulses, you are, someone whose power is deliberate and undeniable. In the end, mastery of desire is mastery of life. It is the foundation of personal power, attraction, and influence. You are. Desire is temporary, discipline is eternal. Those who embrace it become the ones pursued, admired, and respected. They live with purpose, act with precision. You are. And inspire without effort. The choice is yours. Follow desire and drift aimlessly, or embrace discipline and become unstoppable. Choose discipline. Build your life. You are. Command respect. And let the world chase the force you have become. Boundaries are the invisible force that commands respect, defines your value, you are, and shapes the way the world treats you. Too many people live without clear limits, hoping that kindness, compromise, or constant availability will earn them respect. You are. They fail to understand a fundamental truth: respect is not given, it is demanded through clarity, consistency, and conviction. You are. When you allow anyone to overstep your values, to disregard your time, or to manipulate your presence, you train them to see you as expendable. You are. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about declaring to the world exactly who you are and what you will tolerate. You are. They are the framework within which your strength, purpose, and value can be recognized. Without boundaries, you are. Even the most talented or disciplined individual is invisible, lost in the crowd of people willing to say yes to everything. With boundaries, you are. Every interaction signals that you are not ordinary, that your life is structured, and that your standards are non-negotiable. Boundaries begin with self-knowledge. You are. You must first understand your worth before you can communicate it to others. What are your non-negotiables? What behaviors, actions, or attitudes will you not accept? You are. The clarity of these standards forms the foundation of respect. People are drawn to those who are certain because certainty is rare. You are. They are drawn to those who have cultivated self-governance because self-governance is powerful. Every time you fail to enforce your limits, you dilute your value. You are. Every time you uphold them consistently, you reinforce it. Boundaries are the silent statement that your presence is valuable and that your time, energy, you are, and attention are precious commodities not to be wasted on mediocrity, manipulation, or disrespect. Boundaries also create psychological safety. You are. For yourself and for others. When people know exactly what you will accept, they can interact with you without fear of misunderstanding or chaos. You are. Boundaries communicate structure. They create order in relationships, in work, and in life. Without them, every encounter becomes a negotiation of your worth. You are. An ongoing test of patience and a drain on energy. With them, interactions are clear, purposeful, and productive. You are. People instinctively respect someone who maintains order in their own life because it signals competence, maturity, and strength. Boundaries are not punishment. You are. They are a declaration of value. They are not walls. They are gates, allowing only what aligns with your principles to enter. You are. The most magnetic individuals do not bend to every whim or tolerate every offense. So they understand that respect is earned through consistency, not through agreement. You are. Saying no is often more powerful than saying yes because it signals that your standards are not negotiable. You are. It signals that you prioritize your principles over temporary comfort, that you value your life and time above fleeting approval. You are. People chase those who demand respect because they represent stability, order, and reliability. They are not volatile or reactive. They are deliberate and anchored. You are. Boundaries are the proof that you are not driven by impulse or convenience, but by purpose and self-respect. Boundaries also function as a mirror for others. You are. They reveal who people truly are and test the authenticity of their intentions. Those who respect your limits demonstrate alignment with your values. You are. Those who do not naturally fall away. This is a filter that protects your energy and ensures that the people who remain in your life are worthy of your attention. You are. Boundaries are not restrictive, they are selective. They clarify your circle and elevate the quality of relationships, collaborations, and interactions. You are. People are drawn to those who maintain high standards because they themselves feel elevated in the presence of order, integrity, and self-respect. You are. Every boundary you enforce strengthens your authority. It communicates without arrogance that you are not a passive participant in your life, but an active architect. You are. It signals that you operate on principles, not whims, and that you demand the same consistency from others that you hold for yourself. You are. Respect is rarely offered casually. It is earned through clarity, action, and integrity. When people encounter someone who maintains unwavering standards, they are instinctively drawn to them. They chase the person who cannot be easily swayed, who does not compromise their values, and whose life reflects order and competence. Boundaries also cultivate inner discipline. They train you to resist the urge to overextend, to people please, or to sacrifice your long-term goals for temporary ease. Each act of maintaining a boundary reinforces your sense of self-worth, strengthens your identity, and amplifies your presence in the world. You no longer seek validation externally because your standards have created an internal compass that guides every interaction. Those who recognize this inner authority are naturally drawn to it. They sense the power, stability, and clarity that comes from living a disciplined, principled life. Ultimately, boundaries are the architecture of respect. They are the structures that define your value, command attention, and create influence. People chase those who maintain them because they signal reliability, strength, and purpose. Without boundary, it becomes reactive, chaotic, and depleting. With boundaries, life becomes deliberate, ordered, and magnetic. Respect is not granted. It is the natural consequence of living by your principles, standing firm, and refusing to compromise your standards. If you want to be admired, pursued, and influential, it begins here. Define your limits, enforce them consistently, and let your life communicate value. Boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They are the proof of strength. They elevate you above the crowd. They filter the people who enter your world, and they create the conditions for meaningful, respectful, and powerful relationships. Stand firm, enforce your limits. Demand respect, and watch the world respond to the force of a life structured with purpose. Action speaks louder than words because the world does not respond to intentions. It responds to results. Talk is cheap. Ideas without execution are meaningless. Plans without follow-through are illusions. Everyone can promise, hope, and dream, but only those who act consistently create reality. Action is the ultimate measure of value, the signal that separates leaders from spectators, the pursued from the ignored. People are drawn to those who demonstrate competence through what they do, not what they say. If you want respect, influence, and attraction, you must understand that action is the language that communicates strength, purpose, and clarity. Words may inspire temporarily, but actions build lasting momentum. Create reputation and command attention. The person who takes decisive action reveals their priorities. Every action is a statement. It communicates what matters to you, what you value, and what you will invest your energy in. Those who chase you, those who admire you, do not care about your explanations. They care about the reality you create. Your life is a canvas painted by your actions, and each choice adds depth, meaning you are an influence. The world instinctively senses competence and follows it. Empty words, on the other hand, are ignored, dismissed, or forgotten. Action is the proof of your principles, the manifestation of your discipline, and the evidence of your clarity of value. Consistency amplifies action. One bold move may catch attention briefly, but repeated, disciplined action signals mastery. People chase those who demonstrate reliability and momentum. They are drawn to individuals who do not waver, who show up every day, and who relentlessly pursue their vision. In life, fleeting effort is invisible. Sustained action is magnetic. Every project completed, every challenge faced, and every boundary enforced compounds into a presence that cannot be ignored. The man or woman who acts decisively demonstrates that they are not passive observers. They are architects of their own destiny. And this is profoundly attractive. Action also creates opportunity. Waiting for the perfect moment or the right circumstances is a trap that leaves potential unfulfilled. Real influence emerges when you act despite uncertainty, when you push forward even when conditions are imperfect. Men chase those who are proactive, who lead rather than follow, who create their own momentum. The hesitation of inaction is the breeding ground for mediocrity. The courage to act is the breeding ground for power. Those who are active in shaping their lives draw others into that energy because action inspires action. People are drawn to results because they cannot help but be impressed by tangible proof of capability and purpose. Every action carries weight, even the smallest steps. When aligned with purpose, build a trajectory that others cannot ignore. Taking responsibility, completing tasks, maintaining discipline, enforcing boundaries. These are all actions that speak volumes about who you are. Words can claim competence, but only action confirms it. When you act with consistency, you signal that you are not controlled by whim or desire. You are controlled by principle, direction, and vision. The more deliberate your actions, the the stronger the message you are someone of consequence and your life is structured in a way that demands attention. Action is also a reflection of courage you are. It requires you to face fear, uncertainty, and risk. Those who speak loudly but do not act reveal hesitation, insecurity, and a lack of control you are. Those who act decisively, even imperfectly, demonstrate mastery over circumstance. This is profoundly attractive. The world follows those who move, who shape reality you are, and who take responsibility for their outcomes. People chase energy, not excuses. They follow force, not intentions. You are. Your actions communicate your worth more effectively than any argument, charm, or appearance ever could. Action amplifies all other principles of value. You are. Discipline without action is empty. Clarity of value without action is invisible. Boundaries without enforcement are meaningless. You are. The act of doing integrates all these qualities into a living, tangible force. It signals that you are not passive, that you are not reactive. That you are not waiting for the world to approve or provide. Instead, you are shaping the world, carving your path. You are in creating momentum that others naturally want to follow. Action transforms potential into reality, dreams into results, and influence into power. Finally, action is contagious. It inspires people to respond, follow, and engage. The more you move, the more others are drawn to your energy. Those who chase you are subconsciously attracted to the demonstration of competence, progress, and determination. Action communicates that you are alive, capable, and unyielding. It is the ultimate signal of value. Words invite, actions command. Words may persuade momentarily, actions create enduring pursuit. If you want to be admired, respected, and pursued, it is not enough to dream, speak, or intend. You must act. Every decision, every step, every choice must reinforce your vision. Make action your constant practice. Let it define your presence, amplify your influence, and communicate your worth. Stand, move, create, and build relentlessly. The world does not chase intentions, it chases results. Be the force of action that cannot be ignored, and the world will follow.